Hasan, welcome to Truckin' On.
Thank you so much for having me here today.
It's great to have you here.
Thank you. I'm so blessed.
We just met this year. We sat next to each other on an airplane.
Yes.
And we were both meditating.
And our flight was delayed, 2-3 hours?
3 hours.
It didn't seem like it, though.
That's why I always fly first class. It's like so worth it in times like that when you're stuck on the runway for definitely 2 hours.
Yeah, it was a long time, but it didn't feel like it. Talking to you was very easy and it was comfortable, and we were going to a meditation retreat, so I was very much at peace.
Yeah, and we were going to Joe Dispenza. We weren't sitting next to each other originally, but some couple were split up and asked me to trade. So then we're sitting next to each other, and I was just kind of minding my own business at first, and then saw you meditating, and I was like, good idea. And obviously, this gal is going to Joe Dispenza, meditating on the plane like this, and we're going to Cancun in the middle of the week to go to this thing. So then we started talking, and we have very similar stories going on, stories of spiritual transformation that have been occurring in our lives. Right. And I think that's a commonality with 99% of people I meet at a Joe Dispenza conference. Right. That's why I love going to them. Mm-hmm. I've been to, I think, 8 now. Wow. And I don't really, I just kind of go to be in the energy more than anything else. I've heard his lectures, I get it. And I still like to hear them again sometimes, but I probably attended 50% of the last one. Yeah. And that's fine. I was totally fine. I went with the intention of doing that, and mainly just to go hang out. I have friends that were going, meet some new people and do some meditating and be by the beach.
Right. Yeah.
So, I love to get this going, looking back at your childhood and tell me about where you were, where you grew up and ages 12 to 22 specifically. We can dig in.
Yeah. So I was born in Pakistan, in Karachi, Pakistan. That's where I was born. I came to America, I think I was around 8 or 9 years old. Went to Chicago. So I lived there pretty much up until 2015. So Chicagoland has been my, home. I still have a big, heart. My heart is still in Chicago. My entire family lives out there. So if I go back to ages 12 to 22, I was in Chicago. So I grew up I'm one of 6.
Did you speak English when you moved to the States?
Very good question. So I went to an English school in Pakistan, so you go to a private school, you learn in English, you do learn English, how to write, read. You don't speak it in sentences, at least not at age 8, 9. So, but a lot of the words were in English. So the transition wasn't that hard. I did pick up really quickly,
Yeah.
I think it took me maybe a year or 2, not even.
Yeah, but still, you're coming to a new country,
yeah.
and then learning a new language and all
yeah,
that.
For sure.
That's a lot as a 9-year-old, I can imagine.
It was a lot, and trying to fit in also, right? And also have that imposter, who are you, right? At home. It was a lot going on. I'm one of 6 anyway.
You're one of 6.
Yes.
So your family of your mom, dad, and 6 of you children all moved over together.
Yeah. Well, my dad moved first, and then he called the older 3, so they went 6-7 months before me, and my mom and my 2. So yeah, my mom and the 3 kids. So I'm the 5th one of the 6, so I'm towards the youngest. So we stayed back with my mom maybe a year, maybe less than, and then we came back. We came, and yeah, so it was it was a lot. It was a lot going on. I do remember a lot going on.
How does one go about moving a family of 8 to Chicago from Pakistan? Is that complicated? I've had like a friend of mine who's a chiropractor from Toronto, and for him to just get a green card to come here by himself after college and be a chiropractor was a miracle. So how tough is it, and how did your dad figure that out to get over here?
So there's definitely a backstory to this. Back then, so before 2011, things were definitely, 2001, right? Things were much easier. So 9/11, that's what I'm trying to say. Before 9/11, things were much easier. And my dad had came in the 70s, I think. 70s, in the 70s he came, and whoever the president was at that point, I think they had some, they were passing something about immigration, and I think he qualified under that. So, but he came back because my mom was pregnant with my sister, so he went back to Pakistan. He never moved, and then decided to move in the 90s, like many years later. So he had a green card, or he had some sort of a legal status to, bring himself and then move the kids. I don't think we were that well off, but he had to be pretty indecent. I mean, good financially to move the entire family. And then he didn't work for I remember, so my dad at that point, he had apparently had a lot of stress. I mean, I'm sure he struggled, which I understand now. Back then I didn't, but he went into alcohol and all of that stuff. So I can talk about that a little bit later. But, that's what happened. That's what he was doing. And then came to America. He didn't work. He was just, he didn't have the support from his family and work. It was stress for him. So he was drinking.
So he started drinking when he moved to America?
Yeah, he was drinking in Pakistan too. Like his siblings were in America, his brothers and stuff. They were well off in America. They had businesses, and they will bring him liquor or whatever, or he started buying it in Pakistan. We were little, right? But I do, all of this makes sense now. But yeah, he was drinking there too, which we didn't realize it till later. He must have been not happy with whatever he was drinking. He was abusive. So that's how my childhood was until age 21. So with abuse and drink.
Yeah. You're with your dad abusing and drinking. Your mom, was she drinking?
My mom did not drink. My mom,
she was dealing with it.
She was dealing with it. She was the victim of abuse. She was, she did her best to, raise us. She was doing her best to make sure that we're okay, we're safe, and we were trying to do whatever we can to keep her safe and ourselves, So it was just the pull and push type of dynamics growing up.
What did you do for extracurriculars? You're going to school. Were you doing other things like sports or dancing or like any type of extracurricular activities?
No,
they're just go to school, come home.
Yeah, I mean, I'm being an immigrant. My parents. I mean, we didn't go to the best schools. We didn't live in the best neighborhoods, right? So that type of stuff didn't exist. We never went on any vacations, any spring break. And again, I'm not saying this as I'm upset. I'm just calling out the facts.
It's just true.
Yes,
yeah,
it's the truth.
You went to public school.
I went to a public school.
What was it in the city of Chicago? It's like Chicago public school. I went to Dallas public school.
Well, there you go.
I did have I was upper middle class, but I went to a public school with lots of people who were not, with lots of people that lived in housing projects and gang members and things like that. So you experienced that too?
Oh yeah, that was a very normal day at Steinmetz High School in Chicago, right? So we had to go through metal detectors.
We did too.
Everyone smoked, not everyone. Okay, so I was kind of, luckily, I was a nerd, kind of cool nerd though. I was very much into how I looked and who I was, but I was also into studies, and my parents didn't have to tell me to do any of this, right? They were survived. They're, my mom is trying to survive. My dad was doing his thing, but he, so I just was like, okay, I'll just do good at school. I mind my own business, and so I was I didn't surround myself by the friends who were smoking and they were getting in trouble. I wasn't hanging out with them. I was hanging out with like my best friend Phil. She's a Filipino and she's still my best friend. So so I was hanging out with a very different crew.
Yeah, just kind of like, so what were those like the demographics of your high school? Do you remember?
Yes, it was Latin. The like majority was Spanish, was either Mexican or Puerto Rican, from that area. And then a lot of Polish folks as well. Really not Pakistani or Indian. I think there was only like myself.
You were like the other category.
I was the other category.
Yeah,
and blacks. So that was the other. So yeah, I was like maybe not even 1%. I think there was like 4 brown people at my school.
Yeah.
And my parents did that purposely. Like they did not want to be in the neighborhood of, South Asians, whatever. Like they wanted to be far away from it. So we lived far away from that neighborhood in Chicago.
Why?
I have no idea. I should ask them this question now, right?
It seems like the path of least resistance would be to like go find your community of people that speak your language and have like dealt with your things. But I can also see going against the grain. And like, we left, I want to leave. I want to go start fresh. Like we want something totally new. So I guess that may have been what they were looking for.
And it could be that my dad was an alcoholic, right? He's been drinking from Pakistan, so he didn't want to expose himself to his community maybe. And,
is drinking kind of frowned upon in Pakistan?
Yeah. So you're
it's
Muslim.
not like Texas. Texas, no. It's like expected.
Yeah, no. But I mean, religion-wise, right? Muslim is, that was our religion. So yeah, it's against the religion.
Can you buy liquor on the streets of Pakistan?
No.
Are there like liquor stores?
I don't know about now. Back then you couldn't. And I remember this clearly. I don't know how old I was, but my dad like took us to buy it because we went somewhere in like it was kind of down low, and he would go and buy. He did it, and then we didn't know. This memory obviously stayed with me that it was. Obviously, I remember. And then he did what he had to, and he came back with a bag. It was a brown bag. So it makes sense that he went somewhere far. It was not like a store where he bought it from. It was like a person that he went in the back and got it and sold it to him. And it was almost like a dock, like almost like an import-export location.
Yeah, like a bootlegger.
Like a bootlegger, yeah. I remember it being by the water. So.
Do you think he moved to America because he could drink?
No. I don't think that's it. He wanted a better life. He was ambitious, right? He wanted a better life for himself and his children. And in Pakistan, what he was doing is he was building these beautiful homes. So he was an architect without a degree. He was very talented. He had these beautiful homes, like they were mansions, and he will sell them. And I think he sold one home to not so good people, like they were part of some mafia or whatever. And then the deal didn't go too well. I think they were threatening him, I think. Again, I'm going with my memory of what I heard as a 7-year-old. So, and and things were going bad. Pakistan was going, go downhill. And he's like, I want to get out of here. And he wanted, and his brothers were doing really well in America. So he thought he'll get the support from them. But when he came, like they didn't support him. And he was like depressed. He was just upset, right? He didn't get the support that he needed from his brothers. And I think that really made matters worse. So even though he was drinking in Pakistan, he was abusive there too. I don't know. Like it just got worse.
Were the brothers in Chicago?
Yeah, they were in Chicago. That's why we moved. Yeah. To Chicago is because they were in Chicago.
Yeah, I am an alcoholic. So I think about that. And that's why I ask, because I can only imagine, like, I loved alcohol. Still do, really. I don't like what it does to me, like the negative impacts, but I love how it tastes and how it makes me, especially when I was younger. It doesn't work now like it used to, but it was a great like anxiety fixer. And, and it calmed me and gave me confidence and all of that kind of stuff. So I really liked it. And I would like if I lived in a place like Pakistan and I had discovered alcohol and how great it is, and then I wasn't allowed to buy it, I would literally have moved to another country just for that reason.
Yeah.
And that is like how alcoholism works. Too. And it's crazy. Like I speak about it all the time, because I didn't know either, like that I was an alcoholic for a long time, or like I had a problem with it, even though I drank every night. Like I wasn't like, I mean, I say I wasn't abusive, but I mean, I wasn't physically abusive, but emotionally for sure, to my ex-wife, things she had to deal with. Yeah, and it's so easy for me to say that. Like, I was just a fun-loving drunk guy. Like, I did not like harm anyone other than myself when I was drinking, but that's just not true. Yeah. I mean, I got arrested for DWIs. When you're married to someone and you get drunk every night, like you're going to have a negative impact on that person. So. And then I question also like my perspective of like being the alcoholic in the relationship. It's looking back on it, it does still baffle me. Why on earth did Gina, my ex-wife, mother of my children, stay and deal with it? And there's something else there. It's its own other kind of addiction. Yeah. And nobody that's in a or if you're in a relationship with someone who has an alcohol problem or a drug problem, and even if you don't, you still have an addiction problem. Like you're in the addict energy field.
For sure.
And then you're like, kind of like you're addicted to the chaos that comes with being in a relationship with an addict. And and it's just like, and then you kind of feed off of each other, and it's a weird thing. And I'm so glad, like now I'm really good friends with my ex-wife. I don't drink. Like we've broken free of that, but there was that time when we lived in it, and you don't almost like it feels inescapable, and like there's no other option. And it's like, this is it. Like, and you just get kind of like blinded by it. That's why the first step of like the 12 steps is to admit you have a problem. Is like the first step to getting fixed. 'Cause I didn't know I had a problem for like 25 years of getting drunk every night and doing drugs every weekend and getting arrested like 2 times. Being hungover 5,000 times. Like, I did not think I had a problem. It didn't even cross my mind. Wow. Like, this is just normal. And so many people, I mean, I know so many people that are like that. So it's just such a weird thing. Yeah. And thanks for sharing all of that.
Of course. And I think with what you just mentioned about Gina, right? She also was going through her own journey, right? From what I'm hearing is that she needed to find her worth as well, right? She stayed because maybe she didn't think she was worthy enough to, find love, or she just stayed, but it could be whatever she was going through, whatever she faced was used to the chaos, you said. She stayed, right? I mean,
and we're hanging out, all of our friends, we partied hard. Like we were hanging out in a social circle where this behavior of getting drunk every weekend was totally normal. And that's really what it was. It was every weekend. And I was going to work and paying bills and showing up and like working a job and taking care of things. We had great friends. We had so much fun. We had so many good times. And yeah, then you kind of get in it like, this is just life. Like everybody's like this. I really thought everybody gets drunk every weekend. Like, how else would you live, you know?
Yeah.
Because you surround yourself with those people
Right.
when you're an addict.
Yeah, that's exactly.
Instinctually. It's
Yeah.
not planned. You're just all of a sudden you look up and you're
You're attracted.
35 years old and you hang out with a bunch of fucked up people.
Oh, you know, it's an
And
experience.
they're good people too.
Yeah,
Like I don't.
of course.
Hey, when I quit drinking, I didn't like look up and think I have like these horrible friends. No, I mean, yes, I have friends that probably drank too much, but I'm still friends with all of them, and they're good people. It did not like cloud my judgment in terms of that.
Right.
I don't. Thankfully, I know for some people it does, and people have to like totally cut ties and change their life and change their phone number and move to another town. But it's a weird thing. So one of the reasons I quit was when my daughter was a year and a half old and started talking. And it dawned on me like, okay, what I once thought was cool, getting drunk all the time and being this crazy party guy, is not cool when you're a dad.
Oh, yeah. For sure.
And thankfully, thank God for my daughter being born and having that twinkle in her eye and that impact on me where it was a wake-up call and like, okay, I've got to change. And then I went to rehab around that time. And one of the first things they teach you is that when a child is 3 years old, they know if you're intoxicated. And they sense it, and they can sense it, and it causes them to feel fear. And of course, the older they get, the more aware they become. But at 3, they're like consciously aware. Like, this is danger. Like, dad is not normal. He's on something. And then it starts creating this whole dynamic. And this can be if you drink a bottle of wine. This is not like if you're hammered and like dealing with someone who's screaming and like physically abusing or something like that. Like, this is just drink a bottle of wine and slur slightly. That causes emotional trauma on your child.
Wow.
Like,
Yeah.
so of course it's exponentially worse the worse you get, but just that, like when it's altering your energy field, alcohol, which is probably anything over a glass of wine or something or a beer, then your kids notice and it puts fear in their heart.
Oh my gosh.
So
Thanks for sharing that with me.
yeah. And like so you lived through that.
I lived through that until 21. And yeah, like you said, my dad did work. Like he couldn't get his architect business going. So he was doing whatever he can. He put food on the table. He had 6 kids, right? So he did all of that. He did his responsibility. He drank at night.
Can
So
you
after
imagine raising 6 kids?
Yeah, I can't imagine.
Respect.
And I am grateful to him now, right? I was living my life, I think a lot of my 20s to my 30s, I had a lot of resentment to him. I haven't seen my dad in 10 years. I didn't talk to my dad for many, many, many years until like 2 months ago. I just called him because I have grown. And I have so much compassion and love for him. I've forgotten everything. I have put that aside, and I'm actually going to Chicago in 2 weeks
To see him?
to see him and taking my daughter. He never met my daughter, who's 6 now.
How long had it been since you've seen him?
It's been a long time. I think 2015 or 2016 was the last time I saw him. So I don't know how long that has been.
And how long did you go without talking to him until 2 months ago?
So when I was pregnant, he reached out to my brother and said he wanted to talk to me. So that was like about almost 7 years ago. And then I did tell him that I gave birth. So 6 years ago, I did tell him that, I have a daughter and then he started like my dad, even though he stopped drinking, he has stopped drinking. I think one day it was cold, like it was just cold turkey. One day he just showed up and said, I'm not drinking anymore. And he like put the house on sale, and then we sold the house. We sold the house, our family home, and then we had to go find another place. And then, and he left. So that's how the whole thing ended, is when he just left.
And how old were you when that happened?
21.
Okay, so he quit drinking, but then he left also.
Yeah, he sold the house. I think I was 21, 22, and like random. And he's like, I'm going to sell the house. I'm going to have a new family. I'm done with y'all because it was our fault. I find this funny because, it's just, we were like, oh my gosh, like, okay. So we all came together and found out, had to find another place of, where we're going to live, right? We were like lower middle class. So we had to pay for a college. Like there were financial aspects to this.
Yeah, and your mom, had she worked?
She was working at like Dunkin' Donuts. It's not like she was, making a lot of money. So we had to, go provide. I had to go work. When I was 18, I instead of going to college, I also had to pay for myself, for my food, for, whatever. So I started working. I just went to some staffing agency and said, give me a job. They're like, well, what are you good at? I'm like, well, I sold jeans as structure and that's all I got. So I can type, I can use a computer, I can be a receptionist, I can take calls, whatever you want me to do, right? I just said that my attitude was can do anything. I became a receptionist and administrative assistant, worked my way to like an education assistant, and then worked my way to a project manager. And then I worked my way to being in technology space and rolling out tech solutions. And then I'm back to project management, working for Charles Schwab, but I started out as a receptionist.
Yeah.
Can-do attitude.
And did you go to college while you were working?
I did.
And you paid your own way through college,
yes.
and you're going to school.
Yes.
Where'd you go to school?
So I went to a private school because the other part was, this is a key part that I definitely want to talk about is, so we came to America legally, but my dad, when he didn't have the funds to, because the application process, right? So he did his application. He didn't do the application for his 6 kids or his the wife. So we were in legal status now, right? Because our thing expired, and
Thanks, Dad.
So that complicated things when I was trying to go to college because you don't get financial aid. I was like, what? That's when a lot of times things start hitting the fan. But so I had to go to a private college and pay for it through private student loans based on my credit. So of course, when I couldn't go to school in the normal fashion, I had to work. And when I had my enough established credit, I took out student loans under my credit and paid way more, probably $80,000 on my $40,000 education, but that's just, I had to do that, right? I don't even think about it, but that's something that I had to deal with, right? Went to college. I went to Robert Morris. Nothing big. I just needed an education, just get that bachelor's degree to excel, right? That's the pathway I was programmed, and where I was working, they were like, yeah, if you get your bachelor's, we'll make you a project manager. Cause I was like associate level. So they'll give me like $15,000, $20,000 more just because I have a bachelor's. So I did that. I did all those things. And yes, it did help me. And so, getting a bachelor's did help me. It did bring me to where, I wanted to go, or I thought I wanted to go. So,
yeah. That's amazing.
Yeah.
And you stayed in Chicago through all of this time until until you moved here?
Yeah. So,
for work?
I didn't move here for work. So yeah, if I go further into my story, I found my husband. Well, I found my now ex-husband. So we met each other in Chicago. He was born and raised in Chicago, similar background as me. I think we trauma bonded because his dad was another character too. Everyone, we're all characters, so I'm not saying it in a bad way. So we got married. So long story short, we moved to Dallas for his work. So it wasn't mine. I never wanted to move to Dallas. I never wanted to get out of Chicago. So it was definitely a hostile move for me. Why did I move? I don't know. I thought I did it for love. I was like, I just got married. I was in my 30s and I thought that's what we had to do. I was very much into finding a man to, because obviously my dad didn't fulfill my needs as being, his daughter. And I can admit this now, and I've healed from this, is that I had daddy issues. I needed love. I needed to be loved the way, as a child wants to be loved. And I wanted that attention, but he didn't have that, nor my mom, because my mom was busy, and she had 5 other kids to worry about, right? So I was seeking love externally. I didn't even know it existed in me. Like I was looking for it externally. And this Ali, he somewhat provided that for me. And, I'm like, okay, I'll marry him and, we'll be happily ever after. But no, that's not how it went. So
what happened?
What happened? Oh, it's 10 years of what happened. But I have so much gratitude and love for him now, but during it, I blamed him. I had resentment. I'm like, he changed, right? When we were dating, he was like, did the sweetest things. I mean, the sweetest things. Like, oh my gosh, like within a month we met, he would write these poems and he would give me these notes that said, I love you, or you're so sweet, or I don't know. It was very lovey-dovey and I wasn't that lovey-dovey.
Yeah.
At that point I wasn't, because I won't go into the details. I've obviously had my heart broken many times before I even met him. So by the time I met him, I was a little bit jaded, so he came out strong. And the saying is, or what I heard, the saying was, marry someone who loves you more. Okay, all right, this dude is clearly writing me poems, so why not? Right?
I don't know if I've ever heard that before, and I don't know if that's sound advice.
Never take that advice. No. Please don't.
We're not gonna use that as your quote.
That did not go well for me. Here we are, like 11 years later.
Did your dad give you that advice?
No, my dad did not give me that advice. I don't know. It's like an old saying. It was like a grandma saying.
Dad's advice.
Ali's going to listen to this, but I actually do have so much love and respect for him now. But what happened, I think it was just meant to be, it was meant to go this way. I don't think anything bad happened. We were just really good friends. He had different things that he wanted. I was, my masculine was wounded. My feminine was wounded. Like I was just, trying to survive. And then all of a sudden I wanted a kid, and I don't know if he really wanted one. I don't think we were completely on the same page there. We weren't really on the same page.
Do you feel like when you decided you wanted to have a kid, that the marriage was kind of on the rocks simultaneously, or
no?
Did it feel like it was good?
No, I think our marriage was off from the time we got married.
Right.
From the time we decided to get married. It wasn't, it never.
So you probably had that, like, maybe having a kid will help our marriage get better. Like, and I'm saying this because I think we kind of felt that way when we had Betty. We'd been married a while. Like, we'd been married in 2008 and we had her in 2014. So 6 years before we had our first kid. And I was like, I was drinking, and like, I don't think I'm like, I need to be being a dad. Like I partied too hard and this is going to be like my path, and not like being a dad and this don't go together.
Yeah.
And she was like, well, we made a plan when we got married that we're going to have 2 kids. So like, I'm leaving, or we're having a kid. And I could never deal with like the thought of us getting divorced. So like, okay, fine, let's do this. And so we did it. And like, I was optimistic, like maybe this will help. And, you know, like it did help because my daughter and son are both little angels that came down to teach me many lessons and including to quit drinking and to like change my whole path of life. And like, I didn't change that path because we had a kid, but I did once I became a dad, like, and it took a year and a half. It wasn't like it happened overnight.
Yeah.
It wasn't like, let's have kids and I'm going to be a good person now. It kind of like the kids forced you into being a good person. At least my kids did. They're powerful little ones.
Oh yeah. I think they are God's, like they're angels, and they come and they're mirrors of, you know, of who we are. And from our childhood, they bring in so much wisdom. I definitely see it very differently now that I'm more awake, you know, and not living a life of subconsciously based on my childhood trauma or my wounds. And I'm not looking at things from the way I was programmed and of the way society told me how a marriage should look like, right? I mean, marriage is... It should be between you and your person. It's very different, and no marriage is the same, or no relationship is the same. So I've learned that, right, through my journey of this awakening of becoming who I am today, this moment. You know, I've learned that through my journey. So
yeah. So you had your child. How long were you married when you had?
So Michelle came much later too, right? We had her 6 years ago, so 4 or 5 years after, and with a couple of years after we had got married, we separated for 3-4 months. I actually left. And it was actually his idea because we weren't happy. He's like, I can't make you happy. I was looking for happiness. I thought he was supposed to make me happy, right? So I had these demands to make me happy or be a person, you know? I don't even recall any of that, what my demands were.
That's what I was going to ask. Like, what were they?
And I'm not a demanding person. So I think I was grew up the way I saw my mom, right? She did the cooking and the cleaning and, you know, and I was working too. So my mom did work towards the end, but I was doing all of these things too. Like I'm, you know, trying to excel in my career. By now I'm like making good money and, you know, I'm putting towards, you know, the house and stuff. And I am the person who's cooking and cleaning and taking and financially. So I felt I'm doing too much, right? I need help. And I wasn't getting the help from him. So a lot of our arguments were about him not helping me, like domestic duties. You know, a lot of our issues were that. And then, you know, our like romance, I was very romantic. I wanted to be, you know, really romanced, and he didn't romance me. So...
Yeah, I think these are like normal things. I think these are normal things.
I agree, but you know.
Because I mean, we were dealing with them too. I for sure. It's so funny because when we were married, I would get asked to do chores. I would call them chores. Like, you want me to do chores? You know, I would also say, like, you want me to babysit the kids? Sure. It's like, it's not babysitting the kids because they're your kids.
Yes.
It's like, oh, okay. But I also like, I took lots of things for granted when I was married, like these, motherly duties that I was accustomed to growing up, like laundry and cleaning and cooking and doing these things that I just kind of put on her. And looking back, it was not good. And then of course, when you start kind of drifting apart and like resentments are building and not being taken care of, and then you throw alcohol into the mix and drugs, and then the romance and the sex and the intimacy crumbles away without you even knowing that it's happening until it's too late, at least in my case.
Yeah.
And then it all plays out. Now, today, I have my kids half the time, in which time I am the mother and the father. And I am always with them. We go on vacations for 10 days straight with just me and the two kids. And it's it's a new world.
Yeah.
I am meticulously clean now. I did not used to be this way, but now I'm responsible for everything.
Yeah.
It clicked overnight. Okay, I do laundry constantly. I don't like to have dirty clothes pile up. I clean up I do the dishes as the plate gets cleaned with the food. It's going in the dishwasher. And when the dishwasher's full, it's getting run. Trash is going outside. It's so funny because if the me of 10 years ago saw the me of today, he'd be like, what the fuck, dude? Are you doing? How are you doing all of this? And I feel the same way about that version of me 10 years ago. What the fuck, dude? Why are you being such a lazy ass drunk slob? But we're all the same.
Of course. Yeah.
And I would probably not have become who I am today without having gone to the other side of the Tao.
Exactly.
The dark side. You have to go to the dark side to see the light side.
Yeah, for sure. And I think, you realize it really quickly. And same with Ali, right? He was a great person. He tried his best. He really did. You know what I mean? He had his own stuff. And I think sometimes, I think we put too much pressure on each other. Now that I know a lot more, this is how it was meant to happen. This is how it was meant to happen. Nothing he could have done differently. He could have romanced me. He could have cleaned the toilet. He could have done anything. And I think the end result would have been still the same because, we had this, a karmic relationship, and he was the one who was supposed to teach me my worth, and the moment, the day that I learned that I'm worthy of love and I can find love within myself, I don't need it from this man, it clicked. I started hearing voices to walk out, leave, and it ended between us. And we are bestest friends. We don't do the whole, my daughter half, we don't do the whole half this, even though paper wise, we have it joint custody, but we are in each other's lives every day because I want to see my daughter every day. And so does he. So he lives less than 5 minutes away from where I live. We have dinners together. We travel together.
You have dinner together every day,
almost
don't you?
Every night.
You told me that.
Yeah.
And I'm very similar. We live 5 minutes away. She comes to my house whenever. She has a key.
Yeah.
We go on vacations together sometimes we don't. But it's the same. And I mean, we're really cool.
Yeah.
And I just think if you're raising kids, I pray you can have relationships like what you've told me about yours and the ones that I have, because it's so good for the kids.
For sure.
And it's just overcome everything for the sake of the children.
Of course. Yeah. Just because we're not together doesn't mean we need to, put our child through this. Our child, they love both of their parents equally. Sure, they may love me more, but, she still deserves her dad to be around, and the dad wants to be in her life every single day. And why not? Why would I he's a great person. He's funny. He listens. So why won't I have a help? And again, we don't have any family here. So why would I deny help when I have it readily available? And when we go on vacations, we can actually enjoy and have a fun vacation where, I have him too. Like I can go on my meditation. We just came back from Cancun and I felt like I was on a retreat. So in the morning, I went on a meditation walk on the beach by myself. It was the most surreal experience. And I was only able to do that because he came with us, right?
Yeah.
And I don't foresee this, that we're going to stop. Yeah, maybe when she's older, I don't know, but I don't want to change anything that's not broken either, right? And some people may make questions is like, why even get a divorce then? Hey, there's deeper issues. Like he and I, he deserves to be loved the way he wants to be loved, and I deserve to be loved the way I want to be loved, and we can't love each other the way we, you know what I mean? So why stay in it just because we want to play family? We can play family without being a married couple.
Yeah. And it's easy to have a loving relationship with someone that you're not married to.
Yeah.
Period. Like I have loving relationship with Logan, my producer here, and we're not married. But like Gina and I, for sure. And it's so funny. Like there's like an old school mentality of like, why don't you get married? Cause I've heard that before from my dad. He would say that like, well, why'd you divorce her if you like her so much? It's like, well, it's just, there's a difference between wanting to marry someone and liking someone. And she's the mother of my children. Right. So it's anyway. So when did you become spiritually awakened?
Yeah. So
along all of this journey.
Yeah, I think I started reading like on Instagram, and I saw on Instagram, it was actually this psychologist on, his name is like Unwer or something. Okay. I can't remember his name. He had a masterclass called Forgive or Healing from a Father Wound, because he will post things and like, you have a father wound if you do this, this, this. And I'm like, is he talking to me? And I started following him and I started reading his materials. I'm like, this dude knows what he's talking about. I have a father wound. Okay. So he had a masterclass. It was 10/1/23. So almost like 17 months ago, to heal from my father wound. It was a class. It was a one-day master class. It was like 3 hours long. It was on a Sunday. I told Ali, I'm like, you take Michelle to Cheeky Monkey, whatever. I need me time. I'm going to be in my office. Anyway. And that day I meditated for the first time. I didn't even know what meditation was prior to this. And I forgave my dad. Forgave him, but I wasn't really ready to speak to him till like now, so 17 months later. Anyway, so like I forgave him in that mentally in my head during meditation process. I forgave him in those 3 some hours, and I found like when I released him, I think I had space open to bring in that positivity. And that's my love for meditation. I'm like, okay, if that's meditation, I want to learn more. So since that day onwards, I started meditating. I started Googling. I stumbled on Mind Valley. So Vishen Lakhiani, he was like a founder of Mind Valley. I signed up for that. And he had some meditations or some program called Jose Silva. I tried actually, because I was so programmed, I actually started Googling, and there were so many answers to this, by the way. Like I Googled, is this a cult? I'm like, okay. And I found all these people saying it's a cult and blah, blah, blah for these reasons or for these reasons. And I'm like, my gosh. But I was like, maybe 10 days in. And I'm like, okay, well, if it's a cult, but I feel so good. So you know what? Even if it's a cult, I'm going to continue.
I'm in.
I'm like, I am happy. And then within those 10, 15 days, my life, even though it was turning upside down, but I'm happy internally. And that within those 10, 15 days is when Ali and I had a big blow up and we had decided we were going to split up. So, but I think that was other piece, released, more amazing stuff started happening. But I think now, like 17, 18 months later, I have transcended. I have grown so much that if someone were to ask me who you are, and I would just say I am love, and who, like, my personality, like who I am right now, I may not be that person maybe an hour later or 2 hours later. I'm transcending. I'm changing. I'm like, we're just a soul,
Yeah. So when did you discover Dr. Joe Dispenza?
So within that month, the October 23 was the most powerful month.
So in that month, you found Dr. Joe.
Yeah. I actually had a calling to go visit my best friend from high school. She lives in Cypress, Texas, and I never visited her. She was in Houston. I never visited her. We haven't talked. She has kids and whatnot. We got busy, but all of a sudden, I'm like, she moved a little bit, to a new home. Let me go visit her. All of a sudden, I drive out there, take my daughter. Both of us go, and I'm telling her as I'm doing my daughter's hair, I'm like, Shalom. I've been meditating. And I thought she would be like, what? And she looks at me, she's like, oh my God, me too. So, the universe had put her in my world so many years ago. I can't even count, it was so long ago. But to today, she's like my soul sister. And she's the one, when I was there, she's like, okay, you gotta look up Dr. Joe Dispenza.
Hell yeah, you do.
And she put on this podcast and both of us are sitting there and our kids are running around and I'm glued. And I'm like, and she's like, you got to do his meditations. And I would crack up because his voice, he was like screaming and I would start laughing. Why is he screaming at me?
Shit up.
I love him. I love him so much. He is an angel. I have found, like, I only meditate majority.
Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. I don't wanna.
He's so funny. I actually, the last retreat when we were doing our walking meditation, just opened my eyes from being in different dimensions. And I was just walking, minding my own business, just walking on the beach, and I see him.
In real life.
Yeah. He's with his bodyguards, and I look up and I'm like, okay, I want a hug. In my head, I'm thinking, I want a hug. I definitely want a hug. I'm not saying anything. Now we're like just feet away. And then he looks at me and he goes like, come on. And like we hugged.
He knew.
And I was like, oh, thank you. It was like, yeah, his energy is amazing. But yeah, and my life continues to amaze me. I didn't know. I really didn't. It humbles me that I didn't know that life could be as beautiful or this beautiful as I'm living it. Every single day I wake up so happy, so grateful. And I found all of that within me. And this is why it's so inspiring for me that I want others, to also, find love within themselves, because we don't need to look for it outside. We don't need to look for it externally. We haven't been taught. We've been programmed to live in high stress every single day. We don't. It doesn't have to be hard. We make it hard ourselves.
Oh, yeah. And so true. And thanks for sharing all that. That's just amazing. And especially just like how short of a time has gone by since this happened, and like how exponentially different your life has become since that time, from not ever meditating or knowing what it is to going to multiple Dispenza retreats, meditating all the time. You're now studying to facilitate breath work.
Yes.
You had just gotten back from Tucson to go to a crystal convention to go buy crystals, when I met you on the airplane. And tell me about your businesses, your side hustles, kind of in the spirituality world that you're working.
Yeah. So I'm a Reiki facilitator as well. So I am I don't like to call myself a healer. I'm just a conduit. I'm the middle person. How I can help you find your healing journey, right? Be that person, help you find what you're looking for. So I can, so Reiki, I want to do coaching definitely with couples. It's been a calling for me, how I can guide couples to, find their own, their authentic power of, what they're really looking for. First, they need to heal themselves before they can even find that, a partner or find that bond in their partner. So, like a coaching services, breath work is something very, close and dear to me. That's something that I'm, learning right now, but that has really changed my life. I also do, initially, I wanted to just work with kids, right? I thought, start them young, get them into meditations, get them into, this way of living as early as possible. But like I said, I am continuing to grow, and what I wanted to do a day ago or a month ago has really shifted. It's because the universe has its own, kind of way of guiding me. So I also am a chakra dance for kids facilitator. So this program is for ages 5 to 9. It guides them through story time, how to navigate big emotions, big feelings, guiding them that, hey, it's okay to be angry. It's just how you express them. It's okay to be scared. It's just how you navigate through those experiences. And there's a short meditation, there's dance, there's, art. I'm actually hosting 2 classes of those at my daughter's school coming up. So I'm very excited for that. And wherever, like, this is what my business is called Amor by Mavi B. I have an Instagram. That's where, majority of my reels, it's just, getting the message out. I think that's my purpose. I mean, I work for Charles Schwab. That's my, kind of a full-time service that I'm providing. But on the side, I want to make this planet a better planet, one person at a time. I just want to do my part. I think I've been blessed. I've been gifted this ability to, not only help myself, heal myself. How can I guide others? Because there's many of us that are suffering. How can we stop that suffering?
Yeah, that's beautiful. Well, good job. You're doing it.
Thank you.
What is the greatest obstacle that you've had to overcome?
Oh, man, that's a good question. I would say the greatest obstacle was just getting past my own beliefs. Really, my programming of religion, my programming of people, marriages, getting a divorce, and then, getting past all of these. I think it's just my own beliefs, various beliefs on life, society, way of living is the biggest obstacle that I had to overcome.
And how would you say, like, if you listed all of those things, but like, what changed in all of your perspective on religion and marriage and divorce and like all of these, like the programming, like if you had to like distill it down to one kind of, I imagine it's one overarching theme of I used to be thinking this and now I think this. What would you say?
I would say that I think everything else was based out of fear. Like
fear and then love.
Yeah,
you just replaced fear with love.
Exactly.
That's it.
Yeah, that's it.
And
it's basic stuff too.
That's like really like, I think the initial point of any religion is that.
Yeah.
And ironically, it's become the opposite in so many different places for organized religion, not all of them, but a lot,
Yeah.
it's moved from love to fear. But it all started, I think, whether you're Muslim or Christian or Jewish or Buddhist, Hindu, it's all started with the message from God of love. And then that got taken by human beings and turned into something that became a mechanism of fear to control people.
Yeah.
And because of like power and money.
Yeah. For
And
sure.
then the fear is a great way to control people.
Yeah.
Because the love, if you truly are living in a state of love, you know that controlling people, A, is not possible. B, you will not be controlled by others.
Yeah.
And you will not attempt to control others.
Yeah.
So love does away with all of those feelings.
Yeah.
And it's just like being an alcoholic and not knowing you're an alcoholic. You can be stuck in the land of fear, like so many people are right now. And gosh, when you're in the love, you can see it. And it's like, oh shit, it's just so obvious. It's probably like, it's just like how it is if you're an alcoholic and you see someone who's deep in alcoholism and they don't know it, but you know it. Like I can spot an alcoholic really easily because like I've fucking been there. Same with the fear.
Right.
And now with like politics and everything that's going on. And I mean, I see these friends of mine that weren't political and now post constant. Donald Trump is like a Nazi. Elon Musk is doing this. But I mean, posting like 20 times a day on social media. And I want to just call and say like, like you have been taken over by like the fear virus, and whether you're accurate or not, like you're spending all of this time and energy being concerned about something that you have absolutely zero control over.
Oh yeah.
So like that's the bottom line of that.
Yeah.
And it could have been my other friends who were scared that Kamala Harris was going to take over and force us all to become robots and like not allow us to have any freedoms. Like those friends of mine too. Like it's not, but it's just, are you going to go to the fear or are you just going to go live in the love? And and then when you're living in love, none of that type of thing bothers you.
Yeah.
Because you have faith in God.
Exactly. You have faith in yourself. You have faith that whatever is happening for your best interest 100% of the time. Yeah. None of that bothers me. You know, everything is external. It's a distraction because we are living our own reality, right? Whatever is happening outside of my world is an illusion. This after today will be like an illusion.
Yeah. And it's how you react to, and how, you choose to live and behave.
Yep.
And that becomes the obsession over, instead of being obsessed about what is the government doing to me today or what is the economy doing today, just like, what am I going to do today to promote love and peace versus fear and chaos?
That's beautiful.
Then that becomes really simple.
Yes.
Like, okay, well, I'm going to wake up early and meditate. I'm going to do my sauna cold plunge. I'm going to work out. I'm going to read a spiritual text. I'm going to do a podcast. I'm going to do the things that I need to do at work. I'm going to make time to take a nap so that then when I get my kids, I'm going to be present with them. I'm not going to overcommit to doing things because then my life will be out of balance.
Yeah.
And then it's like, if I'm living like that each day intentionally and I know what I'm doing and I'm doing it in a disciplined manner to promote peace and love, then you don't think about anything else going on other than this like crazy little new game of spiritual yoga that you're or taking part in that is 24/7, 365. And it's like everything you're doing is with purpose and intentionality. And then nothing else fucking matters.
Yeah.
And you're just creating, and you're creating this great vibe. And the people that come into your life are all meant to come into your life, and you treat them all with love and respect, whether they're living in chaos and fear or not, but they're being brought to you for a reason. You recognize that. And then it's your job to live the way that you're being disciplined about living, because it does take discipline and consciousness and intention. But when you're doing that, then that changes the world, not bitching and complaining about it.
Oh yeah, 100%. That was beautiful. Everything you said, it resonates with me so much. Is how you can just, pass just a smile, love, how you can expand yourself, right? In abundance and success, and inspiring others to do the same. I think that's how I show up. That's how I want to show up. And this is how I show up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that about Texas. There's people. I lived on the East Coast for a while. I think Chicago is a pretty friendly place, actually, like the Midwestern vibes. But in Texas, like, you hold the door open for people, or you ask strangers, how's your day going? Or you wave at people when you're driving down the street, and you wave at people, and you just speaking to strangers and that type of thing. Like, I think about it, like, those are like really nice little things, like kind of like, I think they're Texas things. They could be Southern things, I guess, but it's nice. And like, if you sincerely ask the clerk at 7-Eleven, like, how's your day going? How are you doing? Like, I mean, and you mean it, like, they're having a tough fucking day. Probably they're working at 7-Eleven, but it's like, if you're actually making eye contact with them, like, you know how few people probably do that. Like,
Right.
And I was just kind of raised that way to be that way, but I've been thinking about it a lot lately. Like, these are all like nice little touches, like these little things, like butterfly effect.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. I mean, I think I was raised similarly too. Like, we're all of us siblings. We're very kind-hearted people. Both of our parents they're very sweet. They're kind heart, And I think that really, when they raised us, we have really good, mannerism, and the way we treat people. We don't want anything in return. We're just like that, right? So that's one thing that all of us, I think, definitely ingrained in us, and further, like, I do feel, blessed that this became my mission, and I think this was always in the books. It was always in the timeline. I just had to overcome my own limiting beliefs to find the gold, right? And there's no like right time for it. I think it happens when it's supposed to happen. There's like the divine timing. So I found it in my, I was 42 when I found it, but 42 years young, so.
Yeah. Amazing. Have you ever had a mystical experience?
Oh, yes. I have mystical experiences often. I had one yesterday. I was trying to remember if I had one today.
I just have to say, like, I say this all the time, but like, if you're not doing like, if you want to have mystical experiences and like really like witness God in action, like, go to a Joe Dispenza retreat, like, start practicing that meditation. Meditation practice and breath work, like, it's free. And it's easy. And that creates a mystical experience for me every day, is meditation and breath work combo.
Oh yeah.
And that, if people aren't doing that, like, people are missing out. That is like the purpose of this podcast, I think, is like, that's one of the purposes, is like, if it gets one more person meditating and connecting with God in the way in which we're like, I'm so grateful that I discovered this.
Yeah.
Randomly for me, like, a friend just brought a Joe Dispenza book to lunch one day. Like, hey, I think you should check this guy out because you're like, I think you'd like him. Yeah. And that then the world changes. Anyway, back to your mystical experience or your most recent one.
Actually, I want to talk.
Because I knew you were going to say, like, I have one every day. Like, of course.
I want to actually talk about my first very much mystical experience that happened. And that happened at Dr. Joe's retreat. And was last year. It was my first retreat at Dr. Joe Dispenza. So I'm not like, I haven't had so many opportunities to go to his retreat. So the one that we met at was the second one. So the first one was here in Dallas last August. And I went into this mystical experience way too fast. I think I was on day 2. And again, I've never been to his retreat. I never looked it up. And doing the pineal gland, and I went into this space. I didn't know what was happening to me. My body just took over my body. I started shaking. I'm moving. I had to like rush my body down and on the ground because I was going to fall off the chair. I had so much energy. I was just bouncing. and I felt, I saw the white light, the God consciousness within me. I saw it. It was so clear as day. It was so clear. And it was just loving me. You know, I'm bawling. I'm like crying. I am sweating. I do not sweat, guys. I'm always cold. And I don't know what is happening to me. And I feel everybody. I feel their pain or their suffering. And I started out saying, so I thought I have these gifts. I do have them. But that's where the journey really began was, okay, I'm like, I started sending love to myself, started kind of healing myself, and then to my daughter, to Ali, to some other people. And then I said, oh, okay, if I can do that, why not all 1,900? There was 1,900 people in that ballroom. And I'm new. I don't know what I'm doing. And I said, how about all 1,900 of these people? Let's give them love and light. And I felt, oh my gosh, all of that. Now I'm like screaming. My body is going, I can feel everybody. And I feel that love, that like, and I'm crying. I'm moving. My body is moving. I'm going all over the place. And I feel everybody. And then I say, we're all connected. And I think people like, yeah, some other people were screaming. So it was loud. I remember it being loud, or maybe it was just loud within me. I don't know. But then when he got us out of it, I was like, whoa, what was that? And then it took me so long to, get back. That day, definitely my life changed that day of what I felt, what I experienced, God was. And from that onwards, I didn't believe in any program religion after that. I was like, what was that? I do not like, I had more experiences before that where I kind of had stopped believing in program religion, but that was like God right there. And don't tell me that wasn't God. That wasn't God consciousness, because I felt everybody in that room, and it was the most beautiful thing I had ever experienced. So that mystical experience was something that was the start of it. And yeah.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing that.
Of course, you're welcome.
Okay, moving on.
Okay.
I like to just get some good advice from you on some other things.
Okay.
So what is your favorite restaurant?
In Dallas?
Wherever. Or Chicago.
In Chicago, it used to be Prime and Provisions. I don't know. In Dallas, I haven't really found my restaurant.
It's because you don't live on the east side.
I I live in a suburb called Trophy Club. There's nothing going on out there, guys. So no, I haven't found my restaurant. I'll ask Ward here for some advice.
I'll help you. What is a book that you recommend?
I actually brought this book with me because I was like, there's so many good books. I love reading now. This is like my life. I read like it's
Did you enjoy reading before your spiritual awakening? It happened after it. Yeah, same here.
I was a big TV watcher, Netflix, big Netflix person, and, never into reality TV, but I watched a lot of shows. And to be honest, since I think I didn't watch TV for like a year, and I may have watched something like Emily in Paris. I probably watched that one still. But no, I don't really watch TV anymore. So reading and podcasts and taking classes, how to, excel, how to help and be present with my daughter. I think, I have time, and I do a lot of reels, but I don't have time for TV, but I do read. I have so many books. I think Jay Shetty's book, Think Like a Monk, is really one of my favorites. There's so many, but the other one, I think not many people talk about this one. And I think a lot of us that are trying to step into this work, they do have a lot of, let's say emotions that are trapped in their body, or they have limited beliefs that are stopping them. So the book called The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks. This book is a must read. I think this really talks about how you can overcome your fear. So how you can, step out of those limiting beliefs and really empower yourself and others. This one may not be as popular, and I thought this is worth mentioning because, it really helped me open some my eyes too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. What about a quote? You have one of those there too.
And again,
you brought it along.
Yeah, I brought it along. It's like on my kind of my desk, and it is actually from this book, and it says, "I expand in abundance, success, and love every day, as I inspire those around me to do the same." And it's from this book. Like, this is a beautiful mantra. And another quote would be, "Change your energy, change your life."
Joe Dispenza.
Joe Dispenza.
That's right. That is so true. I just quit doing nicotine.
Oh, I know. I saw. Congratulations.
Day 9 today.
How's it going?
It's the 9th day.
Yeah.
So much easier today than a week ago. But I had finally figured out nicotine. I thought I'd kind of hacked the system with these new pouches. Zens are the most popular ones. But you put the nicotine, it's like synthetic nicotine. You put it in your mouth, and anyway, it's just clean. It smells good. It smells like a mint, and you get this nicotine, but it's highly addictive. But I would go to the dentist, for my teeth cleaning. Am I okay having this nicotine in my mouth? They're like, yeah, we can't really tell anything. I was almost hoping they would tell me yeah, you've got to stop this, but they're like, no, it's fine. All these podcasters say it's healthy, but it felt not healthy because I wanted it all the time. I don't like feeling like I need something.
Yeah.
In that way, craving this thing. But that's ultimately it dawned on me really through the practice of meditation and all this work that we're doing, that it's fucking with my energy, and my energy cannot be clean when I'm having this distraction to mess with my frequency that is not helpful.
Right.
And I think I meditated enough to recognize that, where it was this is off. This is not cool. And then my higher self would just start speaking to me got to get in. So I started thinking about it are you sure? Because I think it's pretty awesome to do nicotine. So I started praying. I was like, send me signs. And I don't use Zens. I use this brand called Ace and another brand called Loop that I got from Sweden because I heard like they're cleaner there or something. So I was ordering them from there. And then when you start doing these Sweden ones, they're higher nicotine content. But for me, they just taste less chemically or something than the Zens. And, but then guess what happened? The FDA banned my two favorite brands when I'm praying like every day. Like,
wow. That was a sign.
Seriously, it was a sign. So then I just let them run out and then I quit. So, but it's all about the energy. Change your energy, change your life. And I'm still, I mean, when you do that shit, the way I was doing it every day for years, my body is still resetting. It's only been 9 days. Like I imagine it will take like 90 days to totally be in a place where I'm in a, like a, where I'm pretty deprogrammed from it. Yeah. And can't wait to see like, what's coming, because I know I can just feel like suppressed vitality that the nicotine was holding down.
Yeah.
And as subtle as it may sound, but it's like a night fueled with alcohol and drugs of yesteryear. Something as small as like a nicotine pouch today, because of the work I'm doing, like you just start to notice the subtleties of these energies that where they're almost like all the same.
Yeah.
And one seems more extreme than the other.
Right.
And it's definitely can be like less healthy than the other, but energetically, I think it's still just like the same energetic shitty thing that you're doing to yourself to, that's not amplifying your energy. It's diminishing it.
Oh yeah, for sure. Actually, I, as of like 9-13, I'm not an alcoholic or anything. I did drink a cocktail here and there, you know, rare. But I did. But as of, it was my birthday last September, and I went out with my girlfriends, and that was the last time I had a drink, and my body just don't want it. When I was going through the Reiki, you know, I was getting attunement, so you're not supposed to drink during that time. And I haven't since, and I've gone through like a couple attunements since then. It's just, my body just don't want it. It's been since September. So I just stopped completely. Like it's not something that even socially, like if I go out, I drink like a mocktail and I enjoy those. Because my body, my energy, my higher self just doesn't want to put that in my body anymore. And, you know, there is a frequency test. I forget who has this chart. There's like, 11 or 12 levels of, you know, frequencies, like goes from like 0 to 700, and the highest could go from 700 to 1,000. It's enlightenment, and the lowest being, you know, fear and whatnot, lower vibration frequency. And I was in the high 800s. So I am like all for that. I feel, again, you know, a nerd who likes good grades. I'm like, oh, I'm almost at the 900 level. Yes, I'm amazing. Like, you know, I'm all for that. So anything that is going to bring my frequency down, no.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, and I think that it's funny, that title of that book, The Big Leap, and like speaking about just like how you start doing breath work and meditation, you're going to encounter God. Yeah. That's for sure. If you go to a Joe Dispenza retreat, you're 1,000% going to have something so crazy happen to you that you will change your mind about how you think about everything. Yeah. Can that happen in your house just doing breathwork meditation? Sure. Go to the retreat. It's like guaranteed that's going crazy shit's going to happen when you're in a room with all those people doing the same thing. Exactly. Also guaranteed, when this occurs, your life's going to change. For sure. And that's not always fantastic. Like, it's uncomfortable. Well, it's probably for the best, but it's also can be really uncomfortable. And there are many times when I have like at least like a little momentary thought, like, wouldn't it be nice to go back to the old me and go sit at a bar and sit with my friends and talk about who the Dallas Cowboys are playing and like not give a fuck about anything. Like, but that ain't happening anymore. Like the butterfly doesn't fly back into the chrysalis. Like, so there, you get to this point where it is a big leap and it is a point of no return and it is for the best, but it's not like necessarily like, it's not like easy. It's not comfortable. But it is highly rewarding and worth it. But
for sure.
But you can't go back once you like do this. And so I kind of, it's funny, like I get it, like why you wouldn't want to, because like, it's kind of like, there's something that's keeping us. There's this fear or blanket or of comfort of like shame and fear and like that is comfortable when you live with it forever, and leaving it's kind of scary, but you don't even know that it exists until you leave it. And then when you leave it, it's like, oh shit, what was happening? And it's liberating and you feel good, but it is a big leap and it is scary. Yeah. And it continues to be layers of new scary moments and new scary or new times when I'm like, who are you, bro? Like, what are you doing? And thinking about things I say and do today that a year ago might have sounded crazy. 10 years ago, like I'd be like, there's no way. You're wrong. That's not me. That's not going to be possible. But
yeah. And I think I'm a big example of that, right? Leaving. For me, it's not, I wouldn't use the word scary, but it is definitely, scary. For me, it's like excitement. That's just the word that I choose to use because it is.
It's like the feeling you get when you jump off of a 50-foot cliff, even though you just watched 100 other people do it and they survived, but it's still a little like.
I had that experience.
Shit. Yeah. Do I really have to do this? Okay. Like I'm going to, and it's going to be exhilarating and fun. I feel like I'm going to be safe, but still scary. Yeah. Like, and that's okay.
Yeah, that's A-okay for sure. Yeah, like leaving my marriage, right? That came out of this. Doing Instagram reels, like for God's sake. Me ever coming on front of camera?
You brought your special camera with you too.
I did.
You don't need it. I have Logan.
I never in my life would have thought that I am talking in front of camera, doing reels, or doing Reiki. Like, what is even that? Breath work facilitator, becoming a coach on couples and working with children. No, none of this is what I ever thought. I was in technology. Like, talk to me about rolling out tech solutions, right? I would have never thought, or having a conversation with my father and going to go see him. We never really talked, right? My dad and I, we never really talked. It was talk about like home or food or what I shouldn't be doing or, just lectures. It was very difficult when I wanted to call him. It was not an easy decision. I was like, oh my gosh. And I actually called Ali, my ex-husband, and I'm like, I'm going to call my dad. He's like, oh, are you okay? I'm like, what am I going to say? He's like, just say hello. I'm like, what language am I going to speak? Am I going to speak Urdu? Am I going to speak English? I don't even speak English. I mean, I can't speak Urdu when I'm nervous. He's like, oh my gosh, he's been living here for so long. I'm sure he'll understand English. But those are the silly questions that I was asking myself. But then when I called him, I said salam, that's the greeting. And he knew it was me because he had my number saved. I'm like, oh, you have my number saved. So I made the conversation a little bit easier. It wouldn't have been like, oh, I'm Mavi or Mahvish or Mavu. And then anyway, like I am nervous for sure. I'm going in 2 weeks, to him, see him. It's not easy, but you know what? I have to wear my big girl pants and be like, here I am to talk, hug, cry, whatever,
Yeah.
just get over it.
Yeah. And forgive.
Oh yeah. I don't remember anything anymore. I think people's, once you jump timelines, these terms that I'm using, you jump timelines. I don't remember. Yeah.
What do you mean by that for someone who doesn't know what you're talking about?
So jumping timelines basically means that if you believe in like parallel universes or parallel realities, right? There's multiple realities or multiverses happening. And maybe if I was not going to do this, if I was not going to go not call him, or I was going to continue this way, then, I'm still remembering my past if I'm just going in this straight line this way. But I chose to call him and I jumped that reality, I jumped that timeline. Now, like anything behind, like I've forgotten, it was hard for me when you were asking me some questions. I'm like, I can't remember a lot of it. Because when I was going through my inner child healing, or I did a lot of my healing work, as I was releasing those memories were flying away.
Yeah. All these resentments and grudges we build up, when we truly release them, they are like they never even existed. And if you do bring them up and you might pinpoint something, then it seems as ridiculous as it might seem. Like if I'm going out on a Tuesday when my kids are at home at my house and going and getting drunk and coming home at like 12:30, like it's another person. It was another timeline.
Yeah.
And it's just like that timeline doesn't exist anymore.
Exactly.
And to the point where I run into people who I knew from back then, and they almost don't even recognize me physically, because you become a physically different person and you look different and your whole essence becomes different. And because you are different.
Yes.
And because we are energy. And when you get rid of that low vibing energy and replace it with high vibing energy,
for sure,
you look like a different person. You feel different.
Yes.
And you are not impacted by these things that once controlled you. Now they're like silly little things that it's like, oh, sweet grasshopper child, you like really struggled through that. But the beauty of it is like you almost don't even know that you're struggling. It's like the weight of that might kill me today that I was carrying back then pretty easily, because I was used to carrying it until it gets released, until you go to a Joe Dispenza conference. And then that's like in those environments, instead of shedding it off one little layer at a time, it'll zap off 1,000 layers of it instantaneously. And that's like kind of what you said you experienced. I've had a similar experience to that at a Joe Dispenza thing and other times too, but where it's like the balloon pops of that pressure and it just gets, exponentially released at like a rate that's
for sure
unparalleled.
I think these retreats definitely help you release it. Like I also went to Danny Morale's retreat that was in Austin. He announced that he's not going to do anymore, but I did mention to a bunch of people that it's something that they must do, and that's where I was introduced to breath work, and that's where where our bodies hold on to trauma. So not only like we're living our life, we have these memories, but our body also keeps a score. That's another book, but our body's holding on to these traumas, and breath work really relieve, because you go so deep into it. You can do a breath work called sonic neural, where you release trauma, and I'll be facilitating those once I learn. But I went to Danny Morale's retreat, where 3 days of that type of trauma release breath work. And oh man, what I released there, and the screaming, the crying that occurred in those sessions, and that was in December. From December to right now, me sitting 4 months later, I am a completely different person. So that was just 4 months. But I also had in between that time, I also went to Dr. Joe Dispenza too. So I did 2 really powerful things to myself, and I'm so proud of myself for that.
Good job.
And here I am sitting here with you and meeting you randomly.
You are. I know. I love it. Is there a charity or cause that you'd like to mention that you support?
There's not one that I follow, but I do want to fight child hunger. So anywhere, however way I can, I don't want any child to go hungry. So I try to put my money towards any causes towards children hunger in third world countries, anywhere, however way I can help.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, Mahvi, that's all I got today. Thanks for sharing your energy with me.
Thank you for having me.
You got
so
it.
Honored.
Thanks for trucking on.
Yes.
Peace.
Peace.